What is up, everybody? Aslan Hajavandi, Michael Langston, recruiting analyst for Warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source, which you can join. All this information Michael's about to give you is going to be free of charge, which is crazy. I don't know why we do it, but I'm here. We're doing it, Michael. But all this stuff is probably known already over on the PRB, the premium recruiting board for our Warchant.com subscribers. You can be a subscriber for only $10 American for 4 whole months of access. You can ask Michael questions pretty much every single day, anytime, and he'll answer them like that on the PRB. So you should definitely do that. What else should folks do, Michael, to show some support, some love?
Certainly hit the like button. We love that when you do this for all our YouTube and different events on video. So definitely hit the like button for us. It's a big weekend. You definitely want to hit the like because you're going to have all kinds of features. We have all kinds of team stuff. We have the best team guys you can find. Irish Chaffel, Corey Clark, Gene Aslan, Tom Lang, Jeff Cameron, all those guys out there. Phenomenal. So you definitely want to hit the like button, help us promote all these fantastic features.
Michael, it's been a while, man. How was Hawaii?
I wasn't in Hawaii. I don't know why somebody thought I was, but I wasn't. No, it was good. The vacation was good. I enjoyed relaxing, and we went a few places, but we kind of just took it easy. It just kind of shut things down a little bit. But now I'm excited to be back. I'm revved up. I feel like I should be listening to some Jay-Z because I'm jacked up. I'm ready for tomorrow and I'm ready for Saturday, and I can't wait for this. There's so much excitement about this upcoming season for FSU recruiting wise. I think a lot of people have seen the amount of elite prospects that are there daily. Even since I got back, Bam, they were right after it in March, and this list for Friday and Saturday is pretty insane. The amount of talent that FSU is going to have on campus at the Moore Athletic Center, and also the IPF and watching practices, and just it's going to be fun. Legacy weekend. You have a lot of legacies coming back, to help out the recruiting and also get acknowledged, I think, at the baseball game. So I can't wait, man. It's going to be exciting.
Jameis, Derwin, Jalen, Cam Akers,
Brian Burns,
Thomas. I mean, they're all going to be in Tallahassee. They'll be recognized before the game on Friday against Pitt baseball Hauser. So show up for that. And then Saturday, they'll be honoring Buster Posey. So it's going to be a crazy weekend on campus. Michael, so you mentioned it. It's Legacy Week. It's obviously a big deal. They're bringing all these guys in here. Garrett wants to know, is there a full list of past players that will be here this weekend?
I think Ira might have something on that later. I think Ira did an article on some of the guys that are going to be there. There's probably going to be a bunch. I would say around 30 or so. Former players and former alum, and that's why they're calling it Legacy Weekend. There's going to be a lot, and that's been a big thing for Mike Norvell, that he, even with his first day, I mean, he did this big, massive group chat with all the former alums. The first day he was, I think one of the first days he was hired, he wanted to make sure they understood that they are the reason why he's there, and why FSU is what FSU is. So I think this is a big deal to Mike to bring all the former players back and just really show these guys the love that they deserve of what they did to build this program. And these guys also, to their credit, they want to come back and even help bolster the recruiting even more. They're top 6 right now, but I think all these guys really love and care about FSU. So I think it's a match made in heaven that FSU wants to acknowledge all these fantastic guys and fantastic human beings, and obviously incredible players, and then these players want to give back and help out in the same way. So I think it's a big deal.
All right, Mike Myrick saying what's up. Appreciate that. Let's go with our first question here when it comes to recruiting here. Derek Leith. Hi. Mike, can you give us the scoop, or give me, he wants, not all of us, he wants the scoop, just himself. The scoop with recruiting on linebackers that FSU might be interested in.
Well, there's a lot, and I think if you go to our list, I'm pulling it up right now just to see. I mean, there's tons of linebackers that are going to be there. They're top ones. 4-star linebacker Joseph Phillips making his first visit at FSU. Linebacker, 4-star linebacker Peyton Pierce is another one. Javante Waller, another one, 4-star linebacker. I think right now I will cover that in depth as far as I have a hot board that I've already finished, so that will be in depth that you'll see that as far as when that hot board is released, as far as the linebacker. So that's coming up. I don't want to give away every single target thereafter, but I think it's going to be a very extensive list as far as I would say around the net's going to be around 12, linebackers that they're going to be active with. So I think I want to wait and see and let that thing tell it, but I will go into detail with that and you'll certainly get all that in there. I just don't want to give it all away in our chat. So, but certainly it will be on there.
Where is that in terms of needs, do you think? I mean, how much attention do you think the staff is putting on addressing linebacker right now, Michael?
I think it's one of their major needs. I think they really want to nail this down. Obviously, last year they got Blake Nicholson, DeMarco Ward, and then a late pickup from the Texas linebacker. But I think this year they really want to bolster that depth of what they have, and two, they know they're going to lose some guys after this year, more than likely. As far as to draft or graduation or whatnot. But I think it's a big need of what they really want to do. That's why I think you have such a wide net of talented linebackers on there. I think you're going to see. I think it's going to be a much bigger board as far as what you see as far as top guys. I think there's going to be a lot of guys in there. Few of them have already visited FSU. Zaquan Patterson, who really raved about FSU. He's a safety slash linebacker. That's certainly high up there. I think you've seen a few of them. Edwin Spillman's visited FSU. I think you'll see a lot more. Like I said, it's probably like around 12 guys that they're going to be heavily involved with. And you're going to see a lot more than what you saw, I think, as far as the visit pattern of a lot of top linebackers being on campus, both for the 24 class and 25. So I definitely think it's one of their major needs that they will really want to bolster that linebacker group.
Our guy, Eric Angel, Mike, is the two-sport star player still coming to FSU. When we had seen each other, I can't remember the guy's name. Cam Davis, I'm assuming, Michael.
He might be talking about B.J. Gibson, wide receiver,
Okay.
4-star out of Georgia. He plays both baseball and football. He originally committed to Tennessee for baseball. He decommitted from that. He's visited FSU like what feels like a billion times. He was here early in the spring in January. He's a guy that's extremely high on FSU. FSU is his dream school growing up. I think FSU has positioned themselves pretty well in that recruitment. I'm not going to say he's coming here because it's still early in the spring, but he will be on campus this weekend. So I expect him here. I think you'll see a lot of, and I wouldn't put everything into every single guy that you see this weekend. That means they're not. No, they're going to have guys like every day. There's going to be guys in March, whether they come for this March 11th weekend or they come whether later this month in March or they come for the April 15th spring game. I think that's going to be an extremely heavily attended game, and I think you'll certainly see a lot of these guys. Some of them will go in there. Some of them won't. Some of them will visit now. Some will visit later, and some will visit both now and for the spring game. So I think the guy he's probably referring to is B.J. Gibson. But if you're referring to Cam Davis, he's also going to be here both on Friday and Saturday. If you look at my list, I've already put it up. I got this confirmed from what I hear of what FSU is expecting that the guys are going to be on Friday and that guys are going to be on Saturday. And then some of them are going to visit both days. Like both Luke Cromahoke and Cam Davis are going to visit both Friday and Saturday. They obviously want to have a big part as far as helping, get some of these other, uncommitted guys into the boat. That says a lot about, them and what they think of FSU. So I think you're going to see a lot of, several commits come in there and really, stay both days to really just help, increase this class. And it's a big weekend. I mean, it's a major weekend. You got former players coming in. You got commits that'll be there. You obviously already have people that are already early enrolled that will certainly help your recruiting with players that are already there. So I think, it's going to be big.
Jameis's brother's going to be here, huh?
Yeah, Jonah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, before I saw Jonah last year, first time I saw Jonah was like when he was probably seems like he was 5. So
Oh.
certainly Jonah's grown up 2026 quarterback. He was actually here in the summer, so he's certainly a guy that they've stayed in strong contact with. I think Texas A&M's already offered, which isn't a surprise with Jimbo over there, with Jimbo having a connection with Jameis. But it wouldn't surprise me if he got an offer from this weekend. I think he's certainly a guy that certainly they like what things he does. I mean, there's other guys that they're higher, but I think it wouldn't surprise me if he got an offer.
Let's go to our guy here. Where'd he go? Joey Amenta. Percent chance Florida State has a top 10 class. Yes, Michael.
Joey, I don't do percentages that much. I'm not big on percentages because they can be. You can do them subjective. If I do percentages, I will say I do think they're going to get a top 10 class. That's my opinion. My opinion is I think it will be a top 10 class. That's what I feel. Outside, I'm not going to give you a percentage, but if I'm telling you I think that, then obviously I have some reasons and some intel behind of why I think that. I think the season in general, what they did last year, and the recruiting buzz that I haven't heard in an extremely long time regarding FSU. There's so much excitement. Um, Obviously, it's a roster that is probably one of the most complete I've seen them have since that year they won the national championship. It's a very complete roster. I think they still have a few spots where they want to finish it off, but I think overall, I think it's going to be a top 10 class when based on the things I just covered of the product on the field and then the relationships, the way they do relationships and the way they connect with these recruits. There's a reason they're getting all these elite guys, and it's not just relationships. It has to do with what your product is, and there's a lot of recruits that are sold on FSU. They believe it. Like, hey, this is a believe it or not, this is a top 10 team. I mean, it's kind of I have to really position myself and remember that. Like, yeah, they're good. They're good. They're a good program, and job's still not finished. You got to go out there and you certainly have to go in there, and they're going to have to show the product consistently and not slip up. But I think overall, the excitement is through the roof when it comes to where this FSU program is going. I mean, this is just what last year people saw was just the start. I mean, I think that's just the start of where they're headed, and I think a lot of recruits see that.
All right. Well, to get those high rankings, you need top tier players. Lorenzo Miller is wondering. First off, he says, "Hey guys, I'm always watching. Hopefully, you're always hitting the like button too. If you're just joining us, everybody, hit that thumbs up button. We see the numbers starting to tick up here, and the people that are joining us, because the people hit the thumbs up earlier, and it's pinging it out there for everybody." How many top tier defensive ends do you think Florida State will go after this year, Michael?
I would say around 2 or 3. By the way, before I get to that, I want to give a shout out to Fishware Brewing Company. They gave me this garnet and gold ale that I'm drinking, so I want to
Hold it
give
up
them.
again. Hold it up again, Michael. Let's get you full screen on this one. Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. So I'm drinking that right now. I spoke it there, a few weeks before I came back. So certainly I want to give them a little shout out because they were phenomenal in Jacksonville. So I'd love that. Yeah, I think there's going to be 2 or 3. There's a lot of good ones. Obviously, Dylan Stevenson, who is coming for the FSU spring game, he's already let me know. He's certainly a big one. There's a lot of good ones, and I'll say kind of what I've said before. I will have a detailed hot board with the breakdown of a lot of those guys. They have a really good defensive end / defensive tackle coming in this weekend, Cam Franklin. He's out of Mississippi. He visited FSU early in the spring. That's a guy they're really high on. They've done a great job with developing relationship. Hard to get kids out of Mississippi, but they're gonna shoot it. They go for it, and certainly JP and a lot of those guys have done a phenomenal job as far as really connecting with Cam and Cam seeing what FSU's look like on the field. That defensive line, which I think Norvell said it best when he said, he feels like that's going to be one of the biggest strengths of the team. And I think certainly a lot of kids are taking notice of what they're doing on the field, and certainly having a guy this kind of quality in Franklin, who I think is going to be a 5-star eventually, I think is a big deal. But it's not just Cam. I mean, they got a lot of guys. So I'd say I'd say around 3. I wouldn't even throw the 2 in there. I think they're definitely going to take 3, maybe even extend it to 4 if they get the right guys. So certainly another position that they want to. They've done really good in the portal, but I think they really want to bolster what their young guys are because they have a lot of young guys I think are talented. I love what Patrick Payton's doing. He certainly looks really good, and so there's a lot of guys that I think they want to build it around what they've got on the high school or on the transfer portal market. I think they want to showcase that with match that with their high school recruiting. I think this year's going to be a big year for their defensive end recruiting. Last year they got Lamont Green Jr. and certainly that was a big pickup. They added Gilbert Edmond, as I mentioned, from the portal, but I think they really want to solidify with some top tier elite guys. So I think this year defensive end recruiting is going to be a big deal for and a big focus for this staff.
Lake Cormorant, man, it's up there, North Mississippi. So that's really tough because it's like
Yeah.
Ole Miss, little Mississippi State wants you, Tennessee saw a lot of SEC schools on his wish list, but it's worth giving a shot, man. Got to go.
You can't get them if they're not on campus. So I mean, you got them, get them here, and they've got them here, and this is the second visit. This is a multiple visit, so it wasn't like, oh, you're just getting him for a nice event. He's come here before, so they got to keep getting him on campus. Obviously, for some games, I'm interested to see what he has to say. If you get him about 4, 5, 6 times around that time, then okay, now we're getting in the serious category. But yeah, you're right, Aslan. It will be a tough pull out of Mississippi with Ole Miss and Mississippi State.
I do like these kids, these young men can name these videos like senior season highlights, junior season highlights. He named this one, I hate quarterbacks, junior season film. So I like that.
You gotta love that.
Yeah.
That's not a liking, that's a loving. If they had a love button, that's what you'd love. I mean, you want your defensive ends to feel that way.
Let's see here. Let's keep it with some of these questions. Antoine Stone, James Madison, the receiver, not the university. I'll go to the chances, Michael.
I think a good shot. He's visiting also this weekend. And guys, I implore you just to go look at that list. I updated. It took me about 30 minutes to update it, but I've updated everything. He's on that list. He will be here. I think they have a really good shot. In fact, I would trend towards FSU more than any school right now. I think the relationship he has with Dugans is really good. This is like around his 5th or 6th visit to FSU. So I think there's a real chance there. He's very high on what he's seeing the receivers, and why wouldn't you be if you watched this group last year? So I think he likes what this offense is doing. It's in state. He's visited them a ton of times, and I think certainly FSU's a major player in this recruitment. I think probably them and Georgia are the teams that I hear the most, especially with FSU. I mean, you hear them a lot. I mean, they are mentioned a ton of times as far as with James, and the fact that he still keeps coming on campus. Plays at St. Thomas Aquinas, that ain't right down the road. So the fact that you've taken that many visits, unofficially says a lot about what he feels about this program, and two, it's just he's one of their major targets that Dugans wants to solidify. He also has another talented teammate in Chance Robinson, who I think they really want as well. He's going to be here later in March, and I think FSU is extremely high on both of these guys. I think James is more, a little more physical as far as when you run across the middle. You can do a lot of different things as far as the middle of the field with him, and both of them have really good speed. I think both of them are very coveted, but I think out of the two, I would definitely say James is the guy that I feel most likely.
All right. Well, shout out to our guy Khalil. You could have stayed patient, not even spent $5. That was aggressive. I apologize there, but I was a little aggressive. Any other further thoughts on Chance Robinson you might have, Michael, to share with us? By the way, Khalil, feel free to ask another question in the chat. Don't throw money. We'll pop it up on the screen here.
I think Chance is very fluid as far as a route runner. He's one of the best. I think certainly a guy that is another guy that's visited FSU 3 or 4 times, but he hasn't visited them recently. So I think FSU getting him on campus is a major deal. I think getting him in here in the summer, in spring and summer, for at least 2 more times, I think that's what's kind of FSU shooting for. Get him locked in for an official visit. I mean, he's very tight with Patrick Surtain. Their 2 families are really tight as far as what Chance has said before, that they go way back. So I think getting him on campus one time will really solidify FSU in that top tier group. I think right now I want to see him a little bit more on campus. I think there's a very real chance with him too, but I think there's a better shot with Madison. You just feel the necessity to get to FSU more than what you see with Chance. I don't know if I'd say the most polished receiver. I think Jeremiah Smith is about as elite as I've seen. He visited last weekend. So did Josh Trader. I think the one with Trader was more impactful. I think FSU is. I even asked Josh Trader, who's a 5-star wide receiver. Both of them are 5 stars. I asked Josh, is like, yo, he's like, yeah, FSU's really trying to get me to commit, and it was basically, well, how'd you feel about that? He's like, oh, there's a good chance. So definitely FSU did a lot in that weekend with Trader. Certainly getting Jeremiah Smith on campus was a big thing, and this board for wide receivers is absolutely one of the best I've seen since I've been doing hot boards. So people get ready for that. You're going to see a lot of incredibly elite guys on that list, but for me, Khalil, I would go with Jeremy Smith. He's probably the most elite and complete guy that I've seen. But as far as route runners, I think Chance is one of the best. He's very good after the catch, and certainly one of my top tier guys on the board for FSU that they're pushing for.
Good stuff, Michael. Appreciate that, man.
Yep.
Eric Angel, we appreciate this as well. I had the volume turned up to 300, by the way, so I'm really sorry, everybody. I dropped it down to like 90%, so we're much better there. Eric just wants to say, go Noles, Warchant the best with $50 in the jar, man. We appreciate you, Eric. You're the man. Formerly Eric from Cincinnati, now Eric in Tallahassee. So thanks for being here, Michael. Appreciate it, man. Or Eric, sorry. I appreciate you being here as well, Michael, obviously.
Okay.
You're our information guy here. Michael Freeberghouse. Any guys on commit watch, Michael?
Yes, there is. Just a few nuggets. I feel like there's probably between 2 to 3 guys that I think could commit. I think one of the top guys for me that I'm going to watch is Jason Zondamela. He's from the same school as Lucas Simmons, Clearwater International Academy. I think FSU's trending in a very, very good direction there. I feel very good about their chances, and I think you could see him pop. I think you could obviously see a few other guys. I might mention that later tonight as far as several guys that I'm looking for. I think some young guys, certainly you got Jonathan Daniels is one that I'm looking at. You certainly have Landon Thomas, who I think Joey was going to ask about him. He's one that I feel like there's some real momentum building for FSU with Landon Thomas. So I think those are a few guys, but Jason's kind of the guy I'm kind of locked in on that I think there could be good news, and I think they could get some young guys that are 2025. I think you could get some guys that are pop. So I could see like 2 or 3. I think you could see end up this weekend. I'm not guaranteeing it, guys. I'm just saying I know the way the recruitment is trending. I know a lot of these guys of when they want to make a decision. So I think you could see something this weekend, especially with all these legacy guys in there. I think you could see between 2 to 4 for me when I'm looking at whether it's 2025, 2024. I think you could see some guys, and I'll cover some of those guys in a commit watch, post either tonight or early. Probably be tonight because I'll be at FSU Friday and Saturday. So just kind of some things to look for. Another guy we haven't even mentioned that's visiting tomorrow is Charles Lester. This will be like his 9th or 10th visit to FSU. So he'll also be on campus. So there's a lot of guys, and I think when you mix in former players and alums that these guys look up to and watch throughout their career, it even ignites your weekend even more. So that's why I think you're going to see. I think you're going to see possibly some some good news for FSU coming out of this weekend. Now, don't be disappointed if they don't pop, but even if whether it's public or whether it's private between them and the staff, I think you're going to see like 2 to 4 from this weekend.
I know you say don't be disappointed, Michael, and there's a long way to go. And well, actually, not that much long of a way to go because everything happens in December now. But when you throw together a legacy weekend and you bring in all these guys back, I mean, you want to see
you do.
recruits pay off immediately,
You do.
right?
You do, and I just don't want to prepare people like, "Hey, some recruit is telling me." This
Right.
isn't based on recruits telling me like, "Hey, I'm gonna commit this weekend." This is my feelings of intel I put together of some of these guys that I feel like a few of these guys are gonna pop. But I just want to kind of cater that to it could pop, but I agree with Aslan. You want to see some realistic, legit stuff to kind of, hey, it's a big weekend. You got legacies here. You want to get some positive momentum with a commit or two from this weekend, and I think that will happen. We'll see, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, I don't disagree what you just said, and but I just kind of want to prepare people like, hey, this isn't like, oh, they're going to guarantee. Michael's guaranteeing guys are going to commit. I want to make sure I lay it out straight for everyone and direct. But I think 2 or 4 guys could pop.
By the way, Charles Lester's not one of them. I just had him on the screen because Michael
Yeah,
had mentioned him
yeah,
earlier. So sometimes things aren't coming quickly and syncing up to everything that's happening, but you all
yeah.
know what's going on.
But with Charles, I would say they definitely are the leader. I feel really good
Okay.
about where they sit with Charles. So I will say that.
Wow, look at that. Terry Vaughn wonders any real juju with Juju.
Yeah, he's talking about Julian Lewis, 2026 quarterback. He visited
Oh,
a
come
couple
on.
of days ago. A little early, Terry, but I do think FSU is in the top tier with his recruitment. I think he really likes Stokars. There's no doubt about that. He loves what Norvell's doing. But by the way, if people want to read everything Julian have to say, I have a little Q&A that's on the PRB. You can find it on there. He talks about the visit in depth, about what he saw, what he likes, and how FSU's certainly building something special there. And this kid's good. He's probably going to be, if not the top quarterback, one of the top quarterbacks in this class. Very, very talented quarterback from Carrollton, Georgia. Love his game a lot. Manipulates the pocket really well when you watch a lot of his throws, and he's just getting started. His body's coming into meet what his skills are, and certainly has a great arm, and certainly had a big year last year for Carrollton. So he's a guy I love a lot, and certainly FSU is extremely high on him, probably their top quarterback for 2026. So he's definitely a guy I'm keeping an eye on. But I think FSU's right there in the top tier for sure with Juju, and I think he'll be back later for the spring game. So that's the more you get him, the more they're on campus, the better. And I think he's a guy that you will see a lot of at FSU. But really early, he even said like, I don't have a leader. It's so early for me, Mike. So he went into detail about that, but he really likes what he's seeing and how this offense is developing with Jordan Travis, but also the other quarterbacks. So I think he's liking what FSU's doing. So main thing I would say is FSU's in the top tier with him.
This kid is unbelievable,
I
man.
told
Oh
you.
my gosh, dude.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, he's going to be a 5-star, and he's probably going to be the #1 quarterback in the country, personally, in my opinion. But he's phenomenal.
This is him as a true freshman, I think, right?
Yes, yes,
And he's playing
yes,
varsity.
yes.
And he's like carving up Colquitt County and like legit teams.
Mm-hmm.
This kid is all
He's the
right.
real deal, and he's a fantastic kid, and I think they love his talent, but they love his mindset too, how he approaches things, and that's one of the things that drew FSU to him. So certainly a guy that they extremely highly covet, and he's a name you'll hear a lot more as we go on. But again, we're talking about 2026, so we got a while.
Yeah, got a minute or two. All right. Josh Gregory with another good season this year. What do you think our ceiling is for this coming recruiting class? Would
Well,
you
I
go
think
top 5? Would you go top
yeah,
5?
yeah, I think the ceiling would be 5 for me. That would mean everything's fallen into place, everything worked into good in the ceiling. For me, it'd be 5. Outside, it's hard to see go higher than that. It's tough. But I think top 5 for me, ceiling wise, that's where it would be.
Let's keep it around the greater Atlanta area. Our guy, Andre Elam, I think he's another Gwinnett guy. Although this is Fulton County, I'm guessing, Westlake High School. Go Noles. Michael, what can you tell me about 2025 offensive lineman Juan Gaston, 6'7", 320 out of Westlake High School in Atlanta?
Long range, really good reach, kind of similar to what Lucas did. Lucas Simmons, but Lucas was a little more fine-tuned and more finely developed than he was. But The one thing I noticed is his pass pros, is his reach, his length. Certainly, when I watch him, that jumps out to me. Obviously, a guy that's just starting the process, only 2025 offensive lineman. So, certainly a guy that they're working. I think he's going to be here in late March. I don't know why I say January, but late March is what I've heard as far as him visiting. Possibly that March 23rd weekend, you could see him on campus. But that's kind of my thoughts on Juan there.
And they're going after, I don't want to say ready-made, but man, they're going
Yeah.
after guys that are built differently than we've seen
They're,
around here,
they're
man.
not messing around. And I'll tell you, man, I don't, and I'll say this, I don't usually go to practice that much. And I've been to more practices probably in the last few days that I've gone to in 2 years. And them dudes look different than what they have now. When you see Jaheim Bell and you see Keandre Jones, which Keandre looks like $1,000,000 if for those that haven't seen Aslan's video and practices. I mean, these guys look different, and this is and then these guys we're watching. You see a different body type than what they've recruited before, and yeah, these guys are great looking as far as just what you see on the frame and even what they do as far as skill set. So there's definitely a change to the type of level of where this thing's going as far as recruiting.
This is a big dude, man. Lucas Simmons, by the way, comping him out to that, man. Lucas Simmons looks really solid. It's crazy that these kids are 18 growing into their bodies this way and looking that sharp, man. It's fun time. Somebody on the podcast wrote in and was saying, man, it's fun covering Florida State again, isn't it, guys? And it's like, yep.
It's
Yep.
very. That's what I tell people. I mean, they're like people don't know how easy our jobs are, whether it's team or recruiting, when things are good. When the things are good, my job's a lot easier as far as what recruits are saying, and certainly team wise, it's the same thing. So yeah, it's a much easier thing, and these guys are very easily accessible as far as these coaches. They do a phenomenal job as far as personal relationships, and it's not just with their players and recruits. They just do a phenomenal job as far as preparation and organization with everything. So yeah, it definitely makes our job a lot easier.
We've passed the bottom of the hour here on the warchant.com live recruiting chat with Michael Langston. Hit that thumbs up if you're just joining us or maybe didn't hit it earlier on. Michael's giving you some good information. Certainly worth it. Also, give the thumbs up because of our guy in the background there, Josiah. Our guy's answering some of the questions in the chat for people that have asked questions, Michael, that you've already answered, so we don't have to repeat ourselves.
Yeah.
So we got all these things going on. If you're joining us late, it's fine. Ask your question. If it's already been answered, we'll get to it. But hit that thumbs up. We would appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Terry Vaughn's got another question, Michael. Micah Danzi, Florida High. How much interest?
They're very interested. That's a guy they haven't taken for granted. We usually don't see them push for tally kids as hard. This is the exception as far as what I've seen. Kaya, they've been on him really hard from the start. I wouldn't be surprised if he pops in there, either Friday or Saturday, for the visit. I think FSU leads for him. I think they've done the best job recruiting him. I think Georgia's also in there. Alabama's also in there. I think he's certainly a highly regarded guy. And if you watch his film, he will remind you a lot of Lawrence Teofili. You'll see a lot of Lawrence Teofili when you watch him play. Got great speed like Lawrence did, long strider. But obviously, speed's a big deal with him. His vision between the tackles is exceptional. They were a hair away from winning the state championship early this year, I believe, against Coco. So I think it says a lot about just what FSU thinks of him. Also, really big in the track. So we certainly know FSU does pretty well with sprinters and track. So I think he's a guy that's been very high on their board. I would say top 2 or 3 on their board, and still is. I think he's a guy they certainly want in the program, and I think they've done a great job, not just taking him for granted, not just saying, "Oh, he's a local kid, we'll take our time." Like, no, they've been on him probably harder than anybody from the very beginning of his recruitment, and they continue to be. And I think right now they're the team that sits in the best spot.
Our guy out there in Pensacola Packbuster. Michael, is there a prospect or prospects, plural, that you think are under the radar? Someone whose skill doesn't match their star ranking?
Yeah, there's a ton. There's always there's always a lot of them. We have, even the guy, Juju Lewis doesn't even have a ranking yet. And he's 2025. So, yeah, there's always a ton. I don't think there's like a major target yet that I would say, hey, this guy's under. Yeah, there is probably one. Probably, I would go with LJ McCray. I don't know. He was a 3-star, so I think they bumped him slightly. But that's a guy that I'm very high on. I think Camden Fryer's now only a 3-star. That's another one that I'm very high on. That's an FSU commit that I think probably should have a boost up higher. It should be a 4-star, but that would be one that it kind of falls in that category. But I'd say LJ McCray for me is the guy that nobody talks about, but they should. LJ McCray out of Mainland High School. He's also visiting this weekend for the Legacy Weekend. I think he's a big deal. It seemed they bumped him up to a 4-star finally, but he's a guy I'm very high on. I think Alabama, Florida, both are heavily involved. I think FSU sits in the best spot. They've done the best job with the relationships, and he's a guy that has been on campus probably to FSU more than any place, and a guy that I think from the start, my sources and intel have been telling me like, hey, this is the guy we want. I mean, we really are pushing hard for this guy. Guy asked me about defensive ends earlier. This is a name that would be high on my board up there with Dylan Stevenson. So I think LJ McCray, even though he is a 4-star now, I think he's still unheralded as far as where he probably should be even higher. But that's a guy that pops out to me. But there's going to be a lot of guys, though, on when you look at my hot board, there's going to be several guys you see in there, no matter position that you're going to see are 3-stars that it speaks to kind of the way FSU covets them. I mean, you look at a lot of these kids. Luke Cromahoke was a 3-star. LJ McCray was a 3-star. A lot of these guys FSU was on before before their ranking really met, kind of what their recruitment is. So I think a lot of these guys that you see early on, I mean, you should take notice when FSU's after them, even if they're a 3-star, because a lot of times, more not times than not, they get bumped up to 4-star status because FSU is so good at evaluating top skill guys.
Michael, our guy Samurai Noel was asking some sort of question earlier about odd questions being asked to recruits and being pushy. Were there weird interactions with recruits this week? Were people being asking weird questions or something?
Say that again.
I don't know, man. He said something about shots being fired. I don't know. I want to start drama on a Thursday night, man. We're almost out of here.
Yeah,
man.
he's probably referring to, I think.
Let's not name names or anything.
Yeah,
I don't know. Is there
no, I'm not.
something?
No, I'm not going to name names. I'm just saying. I think there was like a site that did a story where I don't know if it's cringe, but it was like Jeremiah Smith had just visited, and he said that he was going to visit other places or likely visit. I think the wording Jeremiah said is like, I might visit. Now, he might have said something different in person. I don't know. I wasn't there.
Okay.
So Jeremiah got kind of upset with that, and he's like, well, no more interviews. So,
Okay.
so maybe that's what he's referring to. I don't know. As far as where around FSU, no, I mean, it's pretty standard stuff I've seen. I mean,
Okay.
so
yeah, I gotcha. All right. How about truth be told? How many wide receivers do you think we take this year, Michael?
Wide receivers. Ooh. I would say around 3 for me, 3 or 4. When I look at it, there's so many elite ones. So I think this is a case where you can see FSU will probably take more than they actually
two right now, Michael. So they got 2 right now. Tawaski Abrams and Camden
that's what I'm
Fryers.
saying. They probably take a few more than they actually really need. So I mean, there's so many. Jeremiah Smith, JoJo Trader, Chance Robinson, James Madison. I mean, that's just a few of them, guys. I mean, so I think they're going to take more than what their allotment is. I would say up to 4. Just because there's so many top tier guys out there that are really high on FSU. BJ Gibson's another one. So I think I could see them taking around 4, even though the quota is around 2 or 3. I think they could go up beyond that because there's so many elite guys and there's so many of them that really are high on FSU right now.
All right. Very well. Briley Kamarion Franklin.
Yeah, we talked about him earlier.
Okay.
Cam Franklin from Mississippi.
All right.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
Same guy.
All right. Let's see. Let's go back to the question list that we got here.
Okay.
Tavarius Banks.
Tavarius Banks, yes, he visited early in the spring. I don't think he met with Surtain on that visit, but he's going to be at FSU this weekend on Friday and Saturday. I wouldn't say FSU leads, but I would say that FSU is near the top. I would say they're one of the favorites, and I think he's a guy that's going to.
Sorry, it's Travaris Banks. I apologize, Travaris.
Okay.
Sorry, sir.
Travaris Banks. He's visiting Friday and Saturday. He's one of those guys that's visiting both days, so he's going to get a little bit of everything with when it comes to FSU. But yes, he visited FSU. Really was, really just talked to really highly of FSU. Obviously, if you see that little thing at the bottom that says from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that's kind of concerning. But overall, I think FSU has been able to get him on campus multiple times. I think they're one of his top teams. I have not heard as much about Alabama, so I will say that. But I definitely think FSU is one of the top tier teams in his recruitment, and certainly him visiting for multiple days is only going to make it better.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know. I'll shave my head if this kid comes here. Kid from Tuscaloosa, that's a defensive back's going to say no to Nick Saban. I don't believe that. But y'all dream the dream. Dream the dream if y'all want, though.
Well, it also depends on how hard they push for him. So we'll see.
Garrett wonders, will Luke Kromenhoek be a Luke K. 5-star. Will he be a 5-star when it's all said and done?
It's Kromenhoek.
Right.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be surprised if he is. I mean, he is. If he was already at FSU, I think he would have the most high potential in that quarterback room as far as what he can do. Because he can run. He's a mixture of run and he has got an absolute cannon. I'm working hard, guys. Luke was even apologizing to me last night. I was thinking I was going to get Luke on this show today. Luke's got a lacrosse game today, but we're going to get him on the next chat. He told me I'm going to guarantee I'll lock everything away and I'll put it on there. So we are going to get him on the show. I want you guys to listen to him because this guy is an absolute gym rat when it comes to video. He really studies his game. He reminds me a lot of Jameis, the way he studies film and is so crazy about it. So he's really into it. As you can see, a lot of these clips, his arm is absolutely electric. He's got a cannon for an arm. Not a lot of these clips are showing how well he can run, but he can go. He's got nice wheels. Wow. Yeah, he can go. I think Luke definitely has a chance to get to that point. Now, obviously, he's going to have to perform and show that. But, yeah, I definitely feel like the skill level is there to get up to that 5-star potential because certainly I think he fits it. He checks off every box you're looking for. Yeah, the angle throws he makes, the way he reads the field and sees the field vision-wise, he fits everything that usually 5 stars are awarded for as far as getting that ranking. So, yeah, he's definitely a guy that's going to be considered, I would think.
All right. We're gonna break my rule. We're gonna talk about kids that are
okay.
Underclassmen in high school because I like AK Dogs. Good guy. Mike, do you know if FSU's on Tyler Atkinson out of Grayson?
I want to say that name sounds familiar, but I remember him. I would remember him. I have not seen him yet.
Edge guy. He's coming off the edge.
Yeah, I don't. I know FSU's offered, but I haven't heard anything as far as him visiting or anything that came out of that visit. So I will have to check on the AK and see what I can come back with. But it's definitely a name I've heard, but nothing where it's like really serious or where he's on campus multiple times. I don't even remember him visiting yet, to my knowledge, but I could be wrong. But I will check on that.
This is Tomas, but I'm pretty sure it's Tom Ortner.
Okay.
He throws $10 at us. Thank you, Tomas. He's late, but it's awesome to hear King Michael of Recruiting is back. Aslan, I want to get off my ban. I have a couple questions for you and Corey. You guys are awesome. So you're not banned on YouTube, though, Tom. Let it rip, man. What do you want to ask Michael? Let us know. Post it in the
Yeah.
comments. We'll
Yeah.
pop
Whatever
up
you
on the
got.
screen,
Whatever you got.
let's go to our guy, R. Wilmer. Michael, what position nationally do you think has the most depth in recruits? Is it offensive line? Is there a bunch of quarterbacks? You seem like you were really high on receivers there about 5 minutes ago, Michael, in terms of the number of elite guys out there.
Yeah, for me, it'd be just what I've seen so far as receivers. I think there's a lot of top tier offensive linemen too. I would say defensive end at the receiver for me. I mean, there's a lot of really good defensive ends out there, and then we've already explained the linebacker group. I think that's followed by that. So, and then those are kind of for me. That's kind of the order of what I see: wide receivers, your defensive ends, and certainly linebackers. I think you see a lot of top tier guys, and there's always. I mean, it's kind of wide receiver. It's kind of like I could say that almost every year. I think DBs is another position you could say that every year. So yeah, those are kind of the positions for me that there's a lot of depth nationally.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the top 14. I think there's 6 wide receivers out of
Yeah,
top 14 or 5.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty good distribution. A couple quarterbacks in the mix there.
hmm
Running back, though, not as much, man. That
yeah, yeah.
position, sadly, is not what it used to be. Do you know what we're doing over and on 3, Michael? Are we limiting the amount of 5 stars we give, or if you're a 5-star and deserve, we're going to give you 5-star? Gosh darn it, are we just going to limit? Because right now it looks like there's only 20, which I used to like that. I always thought like there should just be a cutoff, man. And if you
Yeah.
got to fight for somebody, then fight for somebody and get the guy moved off. But there can't be 39 blue chip
Yeah,
guys. It
yeah.
just can't be that. I don't know.
I
I don't know.
I think in it's just my opinion. I think the way they usually do it is in the spring they don't have you have only like 20 or whatever you see there. I'm not.
Okay.
It's so small I can't see.
It's 20. It's 20.
Okay, so I think it will extend to like 25, and then that's it. Around probably after the summer once the season starts, but I don't think it'll be even more than 25. So right now, guys like Charles Lester will be a 5-star when it all shakes down. But I think they'll be up to 25. So for me, for a 5-star, I agree with Aslan. I think the top 25 players should be 5 stars, and outside that, forget it. It's like you have to earn that spot. I don't go below 25 for me. If I'm doing the rankings, I'm only 25 because I want the elite, and you maybe even cut it lower than 25, maybe 20. But I think you have to. There has to be something that separates the elite from the elite. Now, On Three does do something that nobody else does. They have this thing called On Three 5-star plus, which I like. It's kind of 5 stars, but you're also giving them kind of a different level of 5 stars. That hey, these guys, and they only pick like 3 or 4 of these guys that are in
Yeah,
this
I see that.
category.
There's only 3 right there. I see that
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah, so I'd like that nice little added feature by Chad Simmons, Charles Powers, whoever's involved with that stuff. I like the 5-star plus thing to add kind of guys that are really, really elite. KJ Bolden, you see in there, he's going to visit FSU March 23rd. Grew up a big FSU fan, number 1 safety in the country. So that's another big visit. That's what I'm talking about, man. FSU is getting not just good players on campus, they're getting the elite. You don't get any higher than 5-star plus. So the fact that FSU is getting these kids on campus speaks really of where this recruiting class is going as far as what they're pursuing and what they want. And I think it speaks also just the job that this staff is doing on the field that's really capturing the eyes of a lot of these recruits. They want to see it. And I have had the most input and intel from high school coaches of kids wanting to see FSU. When's the first home game? That's the thing I get all the time. Like, we want to be there. So it didn't matter who they're playing. So it tells you a lot about where they're going and what this how quickly the perception has changed from last year. We're going into the LSU game. They're like, yeah, FSU needs to play good just to impress recruits, just to get them on campus. And now, look where they're at. They're coming off a 10 win season. now recruits are sold, and now the elite, they don't even care what games it is. I just want to watch FSU play.
Is there any chance with Jeremiah Smith?
There's a shot. I think he's very firm in Ohio State. I think he will be back for an official visit, despite Jeremiah getting a little upset with the reporters saying that he would definitely officially visit.
Oh, okay. So this is the guy. All right.
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm not
yeah.
paying attention. So this is the guy that had the issue with
Yes,
the play.
yes,
Okay.
yes. This is the guy. I do think he'll officially visit FSU because I think he sees what this offense looks like. He loves development. He loves offenses that are explosive. So I think it's a school that he definitely would check out and just to see. Now it's going to be a pull. Certainly going to be a tough pull because he's very sold on Ohio State, and what he should be because Ohio State does the best with receivers out of anybody, in my opinion. But certainly FSU is definitely making a major big push for a lot of these top receivers because of the product they're showing on the field. So definitely a guy I think that is going to highly consider them.
CJ Stroud's gone, Jeremiah. He ain't going to be there, man.
Nope.
Columbus is gray and cold, windy. Oh, come on, man. Hang out in Florida, man. Stay close to home, man.
And he's close friends with JoJo Trader. So that could help you if you pull in JoJo. That might have an impact on Jeremiah. So that's something to kind of focus on.
Man, Tom's shooting for the moon here.
Oh, gosh.
Over under 5-star recruits they get this year, 3.5. Over or under, or how many of the top 32 players would they get more than 3?
I'm going to go under on the 3.5 because that's a lot of 5 stars, dude. But I would say a little bit lower than that. I could see them getting 2 to 3 in the class, but I'm not going to don't hold a gun to me and say, hey, he's guaranteeing it. But I could see that FSU getting 2 and 3. And keep in mind, I've already mentioned Charles Lester. I've already mentioned who I think's the top guy that they want, the most coveted guy that I think they want that they're involved with. But you also have, Trader, who I've already talked about, and several of these commits like Cam Davis and Luke Cromahoke. Those guys can get boosted up to a 5-star, so those count just as well. So I could see it getting to 2 or 3.
Here, I mean, look at us now. We're like disappointed if we're like, oh, we're not going to get 4 or 5-star guys. Like, man, just think of where they were. Think of where they're going.
Hey, look at No Cobb. Look at No Cobb. He gave me a little love on my attire. How about that?
I've never seen Mike in Garnet. Is that?
Yeah, it's a nice little thing I got from my wife from Bass Pro. She hooked me up, so I figured, hey, we're going into big weekend. You might as well, give a little love to FSU. Why not?
I thought we were matched. I thought we got I thought you got my burnt orange memo. I guess not. Khalil Young's back. What staff member do you think has the best chance of finishing in the top 20 as a recruiter this year, Michael?
I think you got to put Alex Atkins in there. I've already mentioned, Jason Zandamela, Jonathan Daniels. There's several other guys that I think he's heavily involved with that I haven't even covered. There's a lot of talented offensive linemen that have visited FSU already in the spring. So Alex will be my first choice. I think Patrick Surtain is going to be a guy that I'm going to, is kind of the dark horse that I would put in there. I think he does a really good job communicating, connecting with young players and young people, and his history of developing players is certainly resonating with a lot of these kids that you see on campus. I think that guy's a big time guy, and I think a guy that gets more, doesn't get as much love or got a lot of criticism last year was, Adam Fuller, and I think Adam is a phenomenal recruiter for FSU. He's very involved in a lot of these recruitments. I don't know if he'll be matched in and equaled in there as far as main recruiter and stuff like that, but I think he's got a chance to. He's certainly heavily involved with a lot of these top recruits that FSU's after. So, I can name a lot of these guys on the staff, but if I'm picking a few, those are a few I would pick.
All right. Chris Clayton, do you feel this class could match the class of Joyner and Telvin Smith?
Well, I mean, it's a little early for that. I don't see that, but obviously, if you get a Charles Lester and then you add a JoJo Trader and then you add a top tier linebacker, and then you say you add a Dylan Stevenson, then yeah, Chris, I would start swaying towards that moment that I think they can match, a type of top 5 class. But as of right now, I can't really put them to that level, because I have to go based on what I know right now. But certainly, there's an opportunity to, if they win on the field, they do the right things, they keep developing these relationships the way they're doing, and they keep getting these elite guys on campus, and even more so, get these kids to commit and jump on board. I think it's really too early to say, Chris, that they could match that, but certainly the potential with the guys I just listed, if they landed those guys, yeah, I could think they would match it or come close to it.
Man, there's some interesting names in that class from 2010, man, that you forget.
Yeah,
Like God, Dan Foose, Tank Sessions. Oh man, the good old days. But the good old days are almost back, everybody. They're almost back. Yeah, man.
they're
Joshua
getting they're
Johnson, Greg Denny. We had some muck guys that never made it here. That always hurts me, man, when the muck guys don't get here, man.
It was a lot of guys people forget in that class that just either left or just didn't get here, or stuff like that. So yeah, it's but yeah, I do think certainly talent wise, there's and the options are out there as far as targets they're involved with that they could do that. The potential is there, but right now it's just too early to speculate that they would or they could.
Who are your top 5 recruiters on the staff, Michael? Rank them.
Oh my gosh. You trying to get me in trouble, Tomas? Like, are you really trying to
That's
get
what he
me?
does. He gets banned on
I'm
internet
telling you,
message
man. You,
boards.
you
So
must want
it's
to
what he
get the
does.
coaches mad at me. I'll just say, I'll just name a few that I really, for me, that the recruits I talked to, they mention these guys the most. So I would say Alex Atkins. I think Odell Higgins is phenomenal. He's always a name that I hear mentioned up there. I'm gonna also go with a surprise in Coach JP. I don't think he gets the love that he deserves. I mean, he is phenomenal with hearing his name constantly. I mentioned Adam Fuller. That's another one. And then Ron Dugans. He's had a really good bounce back. I think he's done phenomenal. So those are my guys as far as that I hear the most. I'm not saying those are my top 5. So coaches, don't call me up after the chat. Okay. So, but I think they're all great. Like, I don't think there's a weak. I mean, David Johnson's phenomenal. I mean, these guys. I mean, I don't think there's a weak point on this staff where I think they really solidified things when they got Patrick Surtain. That's not the downgrade anybody. Marcus Woodson when he was here. It's just it adds such a dramatic jump for FSU in recruiting with these guys. I think they all do a great job, and I mean, there's none that I can just say, oh, they stink, or whatnot, or I question them. But I think I disagree with you. Let's get it, man. I think JP's good. I mean, he does a phenomenal job with recruits, and it ain't from me. Let's get it. I'm telling you, coming from recruits and their families and high school coaches, like that's the guy that they feel a real connection with. So I'm not rating them because I'm not going to do that. You're not going to get me in that trouble, Thomas. Like, sorry, no, you ain't doing that to me. But those are the guys I hear most frequently with recruits.
Someone's mad that I'm wearing orange.
There you go.
I don't care. Sorry.
They can live.
Last question. Thanks for being here, everybody. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. Chris Clayton. So what's the missing piece to eventually having a number 1 recruiting class? Which I don't. Have we ever had the number 1 recruiting class since like the Rivals era, like post 2002? I don't even know if the Booker class that year was number 1. But anyhow, do they need more winning seasons? Does there need to be more data, more evidence presented to these kids, Michael, or do they just need to find, I don't know, some money in the couch cushions, or just these guys need to figure out better ways to recruit and sell and market themselves?
Chris, I'll be honest. I'm not trying to bring anybody down. I don't think they'll ever get a number 1 class. Like, it's not a downgrade to anything they did wrong. It's just with the NIL era now and the portal era now that I think it's extremely difficult for a place like FSU to now top 5 classes. Absolutely. I think they can do that consistently. But number one, to beat every single team in the country, maybe if everything clicked the right way and you had relationships and geographics that matched everything, that it would have to be a perfect storm. But I can't see them getting number one class. But I do think top five overall. Now, as far as getting that top five, I do think you hit on a good point, Chris. I think they need to consistently win, and also each year taking a new step. It's like last year you won 10 games. Okay, how about this year you win the ACC title? You know, Stuff like that, or win the ACC title and beat Clemson. Something where you're always taking a step up. We saw a massive step up on what FSU did, this past year. So I think each year, if you're, as long as you're taking steps up, that's going to crank it up a little bit higher for recruits, and that's what I think they have to do. It's just every year you're always going up. Kind of what Mike Norvell says, his kind of cliche thing, climb. It's kind of, you're always climbing up, and I think as long as they keep doing that, they're going to get to that top five status. Oh my God.
Dollar bills.
By the way, I have not seen Joe. That's incredible, man. Hey, I have not seen you in forever, man. Why don't you come around, a little more? I'm at the Moore Athletic Center on Friday and Saturday. At least the spring game. I'd love to see you. I'd love to see. I haven't seen you in a while, so come by, my man. I appreciate the big contribution. We love it. I'm humbled. We thank you so much. I thank you all the guys that have contributed, but especially, 200 Bones. I mean, that's incredible. Thank you so much.
He's a pillar. It's his boy. It's his kid, Josiah, who's back there popping up and answering the questions from people. So shout out to Director Matthew, but Director Matthew sleeps sometimes, and he usually does it when he's not on the Jeff Cameron Show, which is now. So it's actually myself, Michael, and Josiah back there, but Josiah's hard work is being recognized.
He's
so
great. He's great.
Makes the show that much better. All right, we're done. Tomas has thrown $2 more in the jar.
Dollar bills, y'all.
So thanks to Tomas. Thanks to Joel Davis. Thanks to Eric and Khalil. We appreciate the heck out of all of you guys. If you could hit the thumbs up on the way out, that's almost as awesome as American currency. Stay connected to warchant.com. It's only $10 right now, everybody, to join, and you'll get 4 full months of premium access. You can ask Michael questions all day, every single day, and Michael, because of the way he's built, his moral fabric, he'll answer your question. That's what he does over on the PRB. So, and you go up over the PRB, you'll see a full list of everybody that's going to be here. The guys that he thinks is on commit watch. All these things are available for $10 for 4 whole months. So head over to warchant.com. Michael, you don't need to set up what's over on the website. We already talked about it. Get a nap in here, man. You're going to have a long weekend, man. So we appreciate you taking time out and doing this.
Oh, I love it. I love interacting with you guys. Obviously, we love the contributions. As Aslan said, I'm going to go over the PRB in about 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to get into your questions, maybe throw a few nuggets if I have in there. We love this interaction. It's always fun. It's going to be a busy weekend, legacy weekend. I think we're going to have a lot of the crew out there, helping out just because there's so many legacy guys there. Obviously, we'll have a ton of coverage, updates on a lot of these guys, both Friday and Saturday. I'll get to your questions in a little bit, but I just want to thank you guys so much. I'm glad to be back. I'm excited. I'm ready to see what this team's going to do and see how much they can make our heart races throughout the year.
Right on. All right, for Michael, I'm Aslan, and thanks for Josiah back there as well. Hit the thumbs up again on the way out. Stay connected to warchant.com, the ultimate Seminoles sports source. Wake up, Warchant dropping first thing in the morning. Jeff Cameron Show 1 to 3 o'clock. Full pads, well, not full pads, but pads on practice Friday. We'll have reactions, some video as well. We got you covered the entire weekend. Thanks for being here, everybody. We appreciate it.